Hey guys, Jamie here, Real Steel. This video here is part 2 of getting my buddy's truck up and running. So yeah, I was originally going to do a one-parter, but it got a little long, so I just decided, well, we'll go ahead and split it up. So anyway, this video, we're going to get the engine out of the truck, and we're going to finish prepping the other engine, which I've got a little bit to do to it. So yeah, I got to flush the coolant passages and stuff out. So then we'll hopefully get it dressed back up and send her home and get this thing down the road. So I'm going to quit jaw jacking y'all and say let's get started. All right, y'all, got everything unhooked. Underneath, boy, that exhaust was a fighter. Somebody used the wrong size metric bolts in there. And yeah, with castle nuts, and let's just say I had to cut every single one of them. And they weren't a very good quality bolt either, you know, because my 3-inch air die grinder cut it with half a charge, you know. Usually I have to, for a standard bolt, you know, I have to let it charge a couple times. But yeah, not good quality bolts. So whoever did that, I'm sure it worked at the time, but not great. Anyway, here's another thing of hackery. See that fuel bolt back in there? Well, let me move this line. See that bolt back in there? That bolt is, yes, that is not the right fuel pump bolt. And it is not even holding that side of the fuel pump. I mean, come on, people. Dang. Is it really that difficult? I mean, to get the right size bolts and stuff? Apparently. But anyway, like I say, everything's unhooked. Got it all chained up and everything. The transmission is strapped up, as you can see, you know, so I'm not pulling that. We are going to have to be careful, though, because we've got to pull the converter with the engine. Remember, this engine's locked up. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to wrestle the hood off of here. If I can get my tripod to cooperate, I'll film it for you guys, you know. But if not, you know, I'll film it off camera. So hang on, and then we'll get started. We'll get the cherry picker over here, and we'll see if we can't get it out. I'm hoping that I don't got to pull the core support, because I really don't feel like doing that. You know, I want to get this guy done. So let's get started. All right, y'all, let's pluck this turkey. Again, we got to be careful because we got to pull the converter with the engine. Now, don't worry, I've done this before and everything usually works out okay. There we come. Let that exhaust freeze itself. Okay. Hopefully we're free from the transmission. Let me go look here. If not, I got a pry bar. Not quite yet. Let me get a little bit more lift on it. Okay. All right. Okay, yeah, we're starting to come free. Good. Now I got to get that dadgum exhaust. Exhaust got stuck to the manifold from rust. Let me go give it a quick beat down, y'all. I think the passenger side's loose. Let's get the driver's side loose. Well, y'all, I guess sometimes you just gotta hit it a little harder. Alright, y'all, stand by just a second. I'm gonna get the truck fired up and pull it back a little bit. Let me move y'all to where y'all can see. There we go. Might help to take it out of gear or park. Oh yeah, she's coming. She's coming. I think it's loose from the transmission now. Yeah, it's gonna require some actual horsepower. Actual horsepower, not Jamie power. Oh yeah, we're pretty well free of the transmission. That's good. Let me get it up. Whoa, we've got a cherry picker starting to fall. What are you hung on? What the hell? Okay, she's hung on something. What? I don't know. But I think it's hung on that oil pan. There it comes. There we go. She's hung on the oil pan. Here she comes. Let this roll forward just a little bit so I don't tear up my core support. There we go. That'll help. All right, y'all, she is out. It was a little bit of a struggle. What had happened was the exhaust. I'll move out of my way here, hose. You're getting, hey, did I tell you you come back down here? No. What had happened was the exhaust got rusted to this. So took a little bit of beating and stuff like that, but I got it. Yeah, I really had to butcher the shiznizzle out of that manifold, but it'll be all right. Now, the reason it didn't pull straight out was because we had to go like 5 feet because of this torque converter. But it didn't hurt anything. Transmission's good. So yeah, putting it in ain't going to be near as bad because I don't have to go 5 feet to engage an input shaft. I'll put the converter back in the transmission and send it. So yeah, but this is the one that really got stuck. So yeah. Yeah. If I could show it to you. This is the one that really got stuck. So yeah. But as far as the engine being hurt, I don't see any external signs of damage, so I think we're going to find a little bit of internal stuff. So yeah, but we got to get valve covers off, manifolds off, fuel pump, and yes, I'm going to find the correct bolt for that. So yeah, oh, and the crank pulley, bypass hose, radiator hose, just a bunch of little miscellaneous stuff. And then the other one will be ready to come in. However, before I pull it off the stand completely, ignore my mess, I realized that the block had some schmutz in it from the freeze plugs for the cooling system. So yeah, we got to take this thing outside and flush it with the pressure washer. Then slam some freeze plugs in it. But other than that, it's ready to go in, you know. So I think next step, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Probably going to leave that truck right where it's set. So I'm going to lower that motor down. And I'm going to work on getting this thing out of the garage. Get it flushed out real good. Get my pressure washer flushed out. Or flush it out with my pressure washer. And we'll get it ready to run. We'll get ready to transfer some parts and slide her back in. So hang on. Alright, y'all, it was getting a little late to pull that engine out. I don't want it setting out overnight. Man, these early sunsets, I hate them. But anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and strip the engine of the accessories that we need. So we need the converter, manifold, fuel pump. I think I might have got the right socket for it. Valve covers, torque converter, yeah, all the stuff we're going to need. So to start with, I'm going to go ahead and mark this flex plate here. That way I'll know. Which ear is which when I go to match them up. I was going to use the flex plate on the other engine, but I decided against it. So yeah, we're just going to use this one. Now because this is locked up, we may need a open end on a couple of them, but we'll see what we get. Oh, let me get up in here, y'all. Don't worry, it's also supported by the cherry picker. So, yeah. Okay, can we get... Nope, can't get box in. I hate using an open end because these are a shallow head bolt, but we do what we got to do. There he comes. Now, if this engine was loose, you know, I'd go ahead and rotate it and get him from the bottom. But since it's not, yeah, we got to do what we got to do. So let me get this guy out. Like I say, these are such a thin head bolt that they strip easily if you don't have a good wrench. Apparently my old Popular Mechanics 9/16 is a good wrench. So yeah. Oh man. And we're going to autopsy this engine later on, so yeah, it probably won't be for a while because I got other things going, but yeah, I definitely want to see what he did to this thing. I mean, that guy is so hard on stuff. I mean, he blew that 90 up, and then I traded him that truck for the 90 and the gold car. And like I say, not even like 6 months of him having it, he blew it up. Now, I was going to do this last year or earlier this year, but I had other things come up, you know, work and stuff like that. So, yeah, my secondary gig kind of turned into my primary gig. And that's the way she goes sometimes. I know, I should wait for the paint to dry, but I ain't got no patience. Alright. Okay, he's out as far as he's gonna go. Alright, where's the bottom one? Where you at, little buddy? There you are. Yeah. Somebody blowing something up. Always some kind of noise around here, whether it's farm traffic or, you know, trains, whatever. You'd think it'd be super quiet, but it's not. Trust me, if I ever find another place, I love this little neighborhood, you know, all that and stuff, but if I ever find another place, I want it farther out in the country, you know, where people can't really see my stuff, you know. I don't know. I'm just that kind of person. I like quiet, peace and quiet, you know. Oh, so does my wife, you know. My wife, we value our peace and quiet. Come on. Last one. Why you gotta be stubborn? It's gotta be stubborn because it's the last one. We'll get her though. Gotta open in this one as well. It couldn't have walked up in a different spot with all the bolts out in the open. No. Never works that way. Oh well, such is life. Try and walk this guy out so I can get the bolts a little farther. We're running into the freeze plug surface top and then the block sides on the sides. Okay. All right, let me get him loose. I know, exciting stuff. Well, I try to make it exciting, but some of it's not. Some of it just sucks. Did you get the wrench out of there? God damn it. All right. Almost. There. Ooh, that bolt's captured by the flex plate. That's what I was afraid of. This bolt might be captured by the flex plate too. You know, I should just shut up and lapse this thing, but I don't feel like it. Almost. Come here. Come on. Last. Dadgummit. What is your freaking issue? Got it. Good deal. Now we'll definitely have to make sure that thing is lined up before we put it in. Alright, let me see here. Let's get this exhaust out of it. Whoa, that baby was loose. Huh. Which, get out of here. Get out of there. Now, as far as me saving stuff off this engine, I'm not super concerned about it. And like I say, we'll autopsy it, but a lot of it will, unless it's in good condition, you know, a lot of it will probably hit the scrap pile, unfortunately. These things really don't have a lot of value, especially if they're blown up. There we go. All right. I'm missing a washer. Yep, he's stuck to the man. Washer stuck to the man. All right, let's get over here now as I kick y'all. Come on, baby. There. Are you gonna? Gosh dang it, he's gonna strip. Not the greatest socket either. Gummit. Well, you win some, you lose some. These manifold bolts can strip too, especially these little short ones. Come on, baby. Get out of there. Alright, I'm going to shut up now and I'll probably lapse everything, which I should have done to begin with. decided to spare you some of the heartache, and I'm going to get the pulley off and fuel pump and other manifold off. But I got this one off. Revolting development. This PCV hose full of oil. Huh. Makes me wonder. But let's go ahead and crack this valve cover off and see what we got in here. See what we're dealing with. Oh, ooh, she's a sludge monster. She's a sludge monster, y'all. Holy Toledo. Man, she's a sludge monster. I didn't think it would be that bad, but wow. Oofta. I don't think I'm going to use these valve covers, y'all. As far as, oh my God. Holy Toledo. Sorry, I don't mean to use the Lord's name in vain. Holy crap. This is worse than I expected. Man. And I am lucky I've got other valve covers. But man, no, I'm not going to use that at all. Holy. I'm just going to put this back on there and pretend like I didn't see it, you know. Let's just do that. Yeah. But as far as the other stuff, like I say, I'll just grab it off camera. Next step, I think we are going to pull the other engine out here. I'm going to get some of the accessories on it. I say, luckily I got some valve covers. And then we're going to flush the cooling system with it a little more sealed up. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, we'll get to put the torque converter back in. I'll probably do that off camera. Replace the trans seal, and then we're going to get this other one ready to go. So hang on, that'll be a tomorrow project. Alright, y'all, I saved y'all the fun of me pulling the motor out of the garage. It wasn't too bad. Used the pickup, the cherry picker, the engine stand. Not bad, but anyway, let's get the valve covers on this puppy. We are going to be using some Right Stuff sealant on the rubber gaskets. They're a used gasket, but they're in good shape. So here we go. Let me get my gloves on here. Maybe. All right. Here we go. Don't worry, I cleaned all these surfaces off, so they're good to go. And these are not the valve covers off the motor, or the original ones. Trust me. Those will probably end up in the scrap pile. Y'all, I sped you through that last process. Figured go ahead, you know. It wasn't that big of a deal, not that exciting. I used the Right Stuff on both surfaces. Try to help the gasket seal. The heads, they kind of have a porous casting on some of them. They're not machine perfect, so you probably need a little sealer there. And the valve cover, it wouldn't hurt, you know, just imperfections. Now I went ahead and just hand snugged them for now. I'm going to let that sealer set a little bit, and then I'll put final torque on them. If I remember, I'll put the number on there. But anyway, next step, I want to go ahead and start flushing those coolant ports out so we can get some freeze plugs in that bad boy. So hang on. Alright, y'all, I'm going to scoot y'all back and let's flush these coolant ports out. Y'all, got her flushed out pretty good. I took a bath as well, but I feel like there was some residual soap in that machine. That I know I never ran a soap through it, so yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna let her drain a little bit, and then probably put her on the driveway and see if we can get some freeze plugs in it. Yeah, on that passenger side, you could probably see all the nasties coming out. It's a good thing I did that. Wish I'd have done the motor on the daily driver that way. I wouldn't be having half the problems. Alright, hang on, we'll get reset up. Alright, y'all, off camera. Went ahead and got the torque converter in. See how deep that thing is sitting? That's how far it should be when it's fully engaged. You should hear about 3 clicks. You know, so if it's sticking out and not completely engaged, you'll chowder up your front pump real bad. And, well, you're going to be doing a transmission job as well as an engine. So, yeah. But that's the distance right there. That's fully seated. Now it'll come out a little bit when I bolt it to the flex plate, but for engine install or transmission install, that's how deep she needs to be. Well, y'all, I tell you what, we ain't got very many parts left over. Yeah, that's a good thing. I got the motor mount switch, pulley put on. As you can see, I got the freeze plugs in. I still want to replace one at the back, but I'll do that. I'll replace that guy there. Once it's off the stand, it'll be 100 times easier. But in all reality, in order to get this in, the last thing we got to do is change the flex plate. So yeah, again, we'll do that once it's off the stand. But thanks to my super early sunsets, I'm not going to even attempt tonight. It's already starting to get a little later than I want, you know, dark anyway. It's not super late, but starting to get a little darker than I want. So yeah, rather just have a full afternoon to get her in. But I'm thinking tomorrow we get this bad boy in and hopefully we can get her to bark off. You know, that'd be great. You know, whether we get it completely done or not, I don't know, but we'll at least try to get her bark off. So yeah, so stay tuned for tomorrow. All right, y'all. Unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to leave you again. Yeah, I thought a 2-parter. Well, I guess it's going to be a 3. Yeah, did some footage editing, and yeah, it would have been way too long anyway, and I don't think y'all want to really see a 2-hour video of me just dinking around with these Dodge trucks. But anyway, next video, hopefully, we'll be able to finally get it fired up, and then take it for a drive, and then hopefully send her down the road. So be ready for that. But as for this one, we're done. But anyway, this is Jamie from Real Steel Auto Works, and we'll catch you on the flip side. See ya!